Hey everyone, welcome to Philip in the Cloud. Today we're going to be talking about a new feature as part of ibis 3.1, which is the underscore API. And I guess a little brief history of this API is that I was speaking with Michael Chow, and Michael Chow has a neat project called Suba, which I will provide a link to. And Suba is sort of a dplyr, heavily dplyr inspired library that sort of takes a different approach to constructing expressions and operations on data frame like things than ibis does. But I had a chat with Michael, and Michael kind of pointed me to Suba and mentioned the sort of the underscore, and then I started poking around, and I really liked this API, and I thought it would be a really nice way to reduce the amount of boilerplate in some of the bits of IBIS that we'll get to in a second. So thanks to Michael for that. And let me put a link here. That is Suba. And let's get started. So I'm going to open up IPython. I'm going to import IBIS. And then load up the movie lens dataset that I sort of shoved in a DuckDB database earlier. So we'll just connect to that. And we can see there's, some tables in here. Today we're going to mostly be dealing with the ratings and movies, but I kind of just shoved the whole thing in there earlier, so left it as is. So I'm going to make some expressions using sort of APIs, without the underscore. The idea of the underscore is that it's meant to replace lambdas. And so if you're just kind of tinkering around. Well, first let's set interactive. So we've got ratings and we've got movies, and you'll notice again that there's 10,000 rows here. That's just what's showing up from ibis's repr of the table. But of course, if you count the thing, there's more than that in there. And so if you look at ratings.count. Oop, if I could spell, that would be nice. So there's about 20, looks like 25 million-ish rows in the ratings. And so you can of course do kind of the usual things, which is like we've got our ratings, and we want to see, I don't know, let's say, the top, I don't know, the movie that has the most ratings. We don't actually know the movie name, right? Like there's movie ID, right? But we don't know the movie name. Of course, we have movies, and so we have two movie IDs, and so we can join those things, right? So let's just sort of pluck that stuff out. So we'll call this named movies, and we'll say this is ratings, join. I guess we could be explicit. Inner join movies, and then we'll give it a predicate of ratings dot movie ID equals movies dot movie ID. Of course, you can actually just pass a list of that single string, similar to pandas, and now we've got named movies here. Let's see what that looks like. So we've got our user ID, of course, the user that rated it, movie ID underscore X, which is indicating the movie ID, that thing, that the of the left table, the rating, when the rating happened, and then the movie ID from the right table. And so we can sort of just say, okay, named movies, let's see, title, sorry, group by title, and then we want to count that, right? So we can see, and then I guess we also want to sort by count, and we want a descending sort. And then maybe we take the top 5 movies. Okay, so we've got Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, Silence of the Lambs, and The Matrix as the movies that have the largest number of ratings. There's some simplification you can do here, right? Like you could say name movies dot title dot value counts, and we kind of get the same thing. Now, if you want to add, a new column to this table, right? Let's say we want to let's say we want to do some like cleaning of the genres, okay? Um, so you might make you might make a new column that has sort of the genres maybe split into an array, so we can start like mucking around with counting the number of movies in a particular genre by unnesting and so forth. So we would do that by saying mutate, and then we'll call it genres array, and then we'll say, and it's like, well, like what goes here, right? So you can always do named you can always refer to this particular thing, right? And say genres and split, and then hopefully this works. Okay, cool. We've got our genres array. But then, like, let's say I want to do another kind of operation on this thing, and it's like, well, I want to sort of do like genres array. I want to like unnest this thing, and of course, like, if I could spell, that might work. And so now we have this sort of thing, but I've lost the original table. So now it's like, okay, well, I need to do like another mutate, right? So it's like, okay, it's like unnest, it's like flat, genres or something like that. I can't spell genres. And it's like, well, what goes here? Like, how do we get access to, like this sort of whole expression here? Like, how do we refer to that? Well, the way you do this in IBIS currently, or sort of prior to the underscore, is that you would do it like this. And anytime you wanted to refer to sort of the immediate expression that's sort of underneath where you are, you need to use a lambda. Of course, that sort of gets us what we want, right? We can see like, all these things are kind of replicated in the same way that you would, expect if you're kind of writing the SQL. Speaking of which, we can of course always, assign this thing to, an expression, and then we can kind of look at, what this SQL looks like with this pSQL API. Right, and so we've got the join, and then we're converting our string to an array, and splitting and so forth, and then we've got a kind of an outer query that has a nest in it. That, by the way, is using a project called SQLglot, which is an interesting project by a person named Toby Mao. I will put a link here to that project. Pretty nice. It gives us kind of we kind of compile the string into SQL, send it to SQLglot, and SQLglot does like some nice formatting for us. So you can imagine that kind of, let's replace the lambda here. You can imagine that with all these lambdas, things just start to get kind of unwieldy, right? And it's not particularly composable or easy to read. There's like colons everywhere. And so this was kind of the inspiration, in addition to Michael's, being kind of the inspiration there. The fact that you kind of have to write lambda all the time when you want to add like a new computed column is like pretty annoying, right? And so we can add another thing, right? It's like, okay, well, let's I don't know, let's do a window function, or at least try. If this is gonna work, hopefully it does. It's like, okay, it's like another lambda. Great. Okay, so let's do I don't know. Let's do a I don't know what kind of data we got going up here. Okay. Let's just repeat let's count the number of, genres here. And just kind of, repeat that over the. So we'll do another mutate, and then of course, like since we've already split the array, we can just kind of compute the length of that. So it's like, okay, num genres. Okay, cool. I spelled it right. So it's like, okay, now we're got another lambda, and it's like because we want to refer to the flat genres array. So it's like, okay, so it's t dot flat genres dot length. Let's see if that works. Okay. Something looks a little off there because somehow there are 6. So that's pretty interesting. That looks like it might be a fun bug there. So let's see if there's a different approach we can take. Let's see if we can do. So again, it's like even when you're debugging, it's like, okay, you got to look at the lambda again. So like maybe we just count the number of. Actually, I don't think we actually have a count function method on strings. Yeah. Okay. So, oh, we do actually, but it's sort of count for it's counting the number of elements. It's the reduction. Okay. So another approach I guess we could take, which is this is still sort of pretty interesting. Oh, it's because I'm counting the wrong thing. Of course, I should be counting genres array. I don't actually know why length worked on the unnested operation. That's kind of interesting. Okay, now we've got a sane result, except now our expression has gotten to be sort of unwieldy, right? So let's import the underscore. Right? Just it's like, okay, it's like this weird deferred operation or deferred object. So like, what the heck are we gonna do? And it turns out that you can replace all uses of the lambda with underscore, and that's kind of the goal here. It's like, okay, we just want to refer to the previous thing. Like, don't make me type a bunch of stuff, right? I don't, it's like there's so much ceremony with the lambda and so forth. So now we can look at, say, like what movie kind of has the largest number of genres. And I mean, really, what we just need to do there is say, like sort by num genres, desk, limit 5. And of course, this is taking a bit longer, probably because there's a lot of data being sorted. So, I didn't actually run this query kind of before I started the stream, but hopefully it finishes. It looks like it might not, so that's fun. I'm just going to interrupt it, or at least try to interrupt it. Cool. Let's take out the unnest because that definitely increased the cardinality of the data set. See if we can get an answer in a slightly. Okay. So it looks like there's maybe a couple things we want to get out here, which is title, because we can't really see exactly what movie it is. So we'll say genres and then num genres. Okay, yes, that is spelled correctly. So it looks like this is like a rating, and so right, we have multiple ratings here. But it looks like some movie called Rubber has the largest number of genres. There might be others with this as well. which is kind of interesting. I suppose one way we could do this is to get rid of this and just call it distinct, and then maybe we can see, you know, okay, it looks like, oh, of course, limit 5. That's not particularly interesting. The top 5 are that. Limit 5. Okay, so, oh, interesting. I wonder what happened there. Why did the other one go away? Have to look into that. It's possible the sorting went away. So it's possible the distinct and sorting kind of altered. Let's see if we can try that again. Genres, limit 5. And I sorted in the wrong direction, of course. There we go. Okay. Rubber, The Wonderful World of Brothers Grimm, Motorama, and some movies that I'm not going to try to pronounce are the top 5 movies with the largest number of genres. And that is underscore for you. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.